Hello, citizen developers. In this series, we will learn how to uh, design and build business applications, BPM applications, that is business process management applications, and workflows on a no-code basis. Uh, so let's start with a very simple workflow, right? Let's first define what is a workflow. A workflow is a series of steps that you perform to complete a business operation. Um, any process, for example, would have multiple steps that you would have to perform to complete that particular process. It could be a series of steps. Say, for example, a patient consultation process, like here, for example, if you see here, this process or a workflow has 4 steps. First is the appointment, right? Where a person who has an appointment actually comes in, right, and gets registered at the check-in with the receptionist, right? Then the nurse would actually take this person and check the vitals and ask them what their problem is, stuff like that, followed by the doctor consultation, and at the end, payment. So these are 4 steps in this workflow, for example. Now, um, how do we build these workflows? I'll show you that as well. It's very easy, right? Now that you know what a workflow is, let's try to build something. Before we build, just see what is there here in each of these workflows. So if you see here, let's go to step number 1, click on this guy, and task summary is going to list, provide you instructions on what happens here. It's just for training, for example. So you could add that. Uh, and there's a status, of course, right? Every step has a status, right? So we come back to that eventually. There's some effort summary here. We can all come back to that. And there are some data fields here, right? Of course, attachments. So if you go to step number 2 here, everything is similar except for these fields here, which look to be different. These are different fields here. Same thing if you go here, for example. So there's a workflow, right? Step number 1 is here. The person or the role is with receptionist, for example, who would perform the step. Once this is completed, next step would be done by a nurse, like I said before. Third would be done by a doctor, right? And the fourth would be by a cashier. So how do you design a workflow such as this one? It's very easy, right? First, go to mybizworkflow.com here and get registered. It's totally free. So let's do that. And once you have done that, to create a workflow, let's close this guy. All you need to do is go to setup, click on the setup, give a process name and a description, right? And that would look something like this. Once you do that, it will look something like this. Process name and description. And select a category. At this time, just select desktop one, right? And save it. Once you save it, it's going to take you to the next steps. So now you perform step number 1, right? So if you see the step number 1, uh, you know, uh, the title for this is Inception. I think it shows a different process here. Let me choose the one that we just saw, right? There's the patient consultation process. Let's look at this now. This is when we're trying to kind of, build. So you give that first step name, appointment. There's the first one on top, you see left side. And then give one or two lines here. Describe what that really means. What is that step? What is it being performed here, right? The person who's doing it, right, will know by looking at this what needs to be done. It's not a requirement, but it's good to provide this because it avoids the need to having to train people when you're building many policies, right, or workflows. And give the role of that person who is doing this job here, right? Receptionist over here, name and email of that person, So just say no review for now and no approval for now. We'll come back to it eventually. And again, you could add some custom fields here, like for example, shown here, for example, right? And we can come back to it as well in detail. And if you don't want these controls, don't add these controls. Just say no custom data required and move on, right? And forget all these things and just, choose the first option and save. So once you save, you go to the next one, next step, do the same exact thing, right? What is the next step name in that workflow? And again, give the description what happens here, for example, in this step, right? What is this person, this nurse is doing here, for example? Of course, the name and email address of this person. Again, let's say no review, no approval. We want it very simple. Don't add any fields as well, right? We'll come to this eventually later on. But it's all very easy anyway, even if you have to add some fields, it's not complicated at all. And route to one performer and save the step and go to next. So just do this, right? Continue this for 2, 3, 4 steps, right? Choose anything, any kind of workflow that you want. Could be a customer onboarding step, for example, or, in any business, there is some kind of, design that you're doing with multiple members, for example. So you have a workflow, right? You set up that workflow for that and continue, right? And once you do that, you go to the tasks here and then click on this create and choose the process or the workflow that you built. And let's choose this guy that you saw right now. Or I could just choose something else also. So I have something called employee onboarding training as well. I can say, uh, uh, I don't know, John Smith training, for example, if you want to do that, right? So just do that and then create it. There is many more options here. We can come to that, right? It's gonna come to you. Maybe you can just check this for now. I will look at options other, next time. But then for now, just go create it. So once you create it, you come here, right? So see those tasks that are being created. I have 3 tasks because I assigned myself, as the person who will do all the 3 tasks. Generally speaking, these will be done by different people, so they will see these tasks. So that's all. That's all you need, right? You click on this and see those 3, you know, steps for that workflow process. For example, starts with this one, then this one, and then this particular one, right? So there's a workflow for you, right? And again, the status would be assigned. Let me show that as well for the very first step. And other 2 steps will be not assigned, not assigned. Once you work on this step and mark this completed, for example, right? Then, you would see that this one will be, let's go back here, it's losing it. See that one went away because you finished with a task that cleared it. Now the second task is assigned for you, so you can work on this, or the person whoever gets this task will work on it. So that's it for today. So, go to mybizworkflow.com and create your own workflow, a simple one, right, to get started. All right. So thank you. Have a good rest of the day.